Orders of consciousness. Consciousness is inherently intentional, in the sense that we always speak of consciousness as being conscious of something external or internal to ourselves. Ned Block is an American philosopher and professor of philosophy and psychology at New York University who specializes in the philosophy of mind. Ned Block points out that there is a difference between phenomenological consciousness and access consciousness. Access consciousness means that the subject is able to give a reasonably conclusive verbal report about his state of consciousness. The notion of epistemic status of access consciousness implies that we can acquire knowledge from our mental states that can be added to our belief system. Such a verbal report can be functional in choosing the appropriate action. The world appears to a human being through perceptions, which the Australian philosopher David Armstrong classified as first-order perceptions. But that does not explain the full concept of being conscious. A human being is capable of experiencing a first-order perception, but can also perceive a first-order perception consciously as what Armstrong calls higher-order perception, in the same sense as Block speaks of access consciousness. American philosopher David Rosenthal takes this concept one step further, for he is most known for his theory of consciousness based on higher-order thinking. Rosenthal thinks that the best method to describe what it means for a mental state to be conscious is to make a proper appeal to one's awareness of that condition. In his view, consciousness is a function of how one's subjective mental life looks to oneself. The subject's knowledge of his mental state creates a subjective mental appearance. He states that a mental state is never conscious unless the individual is cognitively aware of it. Thinking about having a mental state is a rational extension of Armstrong's idea of having a higher-order perception of your initial perception. In this respect, the system of the fourth way speaks of divided attention. This idea refers to the fact that a particular attention is needed to perform an action, and that, by dividing the attention between the attention needed for performing that action and being aware of that action, we can take a third-person perspective to our own actions. Divided attention instantiates a self-reflective awareness, where one can take oneself as oneself. This idea is often in folk psychology referred to as thinking outside the box. However, that idea inevitably raises the question of whether or not the box is still part of thinking outside the box. A common objection to the concept of the idea of higher-order awareness is that there is always an opportunity to posit another higher level of consciousness. This would irrevocably lead to an infinite succession of levels of consciousness. Or said in another way, how do one step out of the box that is holding the box?